Hey guys, this is Carl from carlsapsy.com here with another tutorial. If you have any questions about my videos or anything in general, head to my website and you can message me via my Contact Me page. Or if you want to, just leave me a message down below in the comment section and like my videos and subscribe to me if you want to. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be going through how you can use conditional statements in your Java program. So this tutorial is going to be made up of two different types, using ternary condition operators as well as if and else statements. And in the next tutorial I'm going to go through switch statements because switch statements are a bit more involved relative to the other two. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new project and just call this conditional app. Okay, so new class, or you can click on new class over here and call this conditional app and double click on the box to get the source code and delete everything in here, delete the template. Okay. And since I've not introduced classes, or since I've not really introduced how to make objects or use attributes yet or anything, I'm going to be using the main method to write all my code in, just for now. Very shortly this will be changed and we'll be introducing attributes, we'll be introducing methods and all this. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is type in public static void main string array args, and let's declare two variables. Okay, so I'm going to call them int j, and that's going to be assigned a number of 45, and int k, which is going to be equal to 90. Okay, now j is of type integer and it has a value of 45, and k is of type integer as well and it's got the value 90. Now if I wanted a floating point number, so let's say I wanted 45.89, and if I were to try to use this, you'll get an error down here saying incompatible types, possible lossy conversion from double to int. The reason for this is that 45.89 is not an integer. This is of type double. So if I want to use this, then I have to declare it of type double if it's a floating point number. So floating point doubles are normally accurate up till, I believe, it's about between 15 and 17 decimal points, or between decimal values, and anything more than that it's not very accurate, so it doesn't include it. So that's why if you're using math.py, for example, it'll give you a close approximation to what the value is, but not the true value of pi. Okay, next. So I've declared this as 45.89, let's just leave it at this. So it's of type double and of type int. And the first thing you're going to do, so if you've been watching my Python tutorials, then you know how to make a basic if-else statement. Now, it's very similar in Java. However, the syntax is just very slightly different, so the language that I'm going to be using. So if I want to see whether j is smaller than k, then I can first of all type an if, open brackets, j is smaller than k, close bracket, open curly brace, okay, and then close the curly brace at the end, just to make sure that you know you're writing within the scope. So I'm saying if 45.89 is smaller than 90, then I'm just going to go ahead and type in system.out.println, and I'm just going to say true. Okay, and remember to end your statement with a semicolon. And as you can see down here, it says class compiled, no syntax errors. Now, if, let's say, so let me go ahead and run this first of all. Okay, so it comes out as true, as we all predicted. So now, if, let's say, we wanted to check whether j was greater than k, So is 45.89 greater than 90? Well, no, it's not. So we don't have to, but we can introduce a else statement, which is saying if the first condition is not met, then, or if the condition above is not met, then run this statement. So I'm going to say system.out.println false. Okay, and again end your curly brace. So conditional statements are written in purple. Your main method or any methods in general are in yellow, and your classes are in green. So as you can see, so if 45 is greater than 80, then 90, well, then you wanted to print out false. So if I compile this, there you go, that. Okay, here we go. So the answer is false, which is exactly what we expected, because 45 is not greater than 90. Now, we're going to do one other thing before I move on to else if statements. And that is just showing you a bit of a change of syntax. In Java, if you're using only a single statement, you must understand that it's not necessary to use one second. It's not necessary to use curly braces if it's only a single statement. Therefore, you can actually remove the curly braces for this particular section. And the reason is we don't need them. Okay, because it's only a single statement. So now if I go ahead and compile this, as you can see down below, it still says class compiled, no syntax errors, and the value that will be printed out will still be false. Because the if statement is first checked, no, that since the Boolean condition is not considered to be true, then it'll print out the else statement. So regardless of the curly braces. So let's go ahead and have a look. So run this, and here you go, false. So as you can see that it's printed out false, and therefore it is checked through the curly braces. It's checked through without the need of the curly braces. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to go ahead and include the curly braces again, and I'm going to introduce the else if statement. Now the else if statement is similar to the elif statement in Python, but you're writing out else if instead. And else if statements also have curly braces. So I can say else if j is equal to k, then I'll just print out j and k are equal. There we go. As you can see here, what's going to happen is it's going to first of all check whether to see if j is smaller than k. This will return false, so returns false. Therefore, this statement is therefore now ignored. It will then check the next statement to see is j equal to k. So does 45.89 equal 90? No, so therefore this will again return false. And at the end, as there's an else statement which says if none of the statements above are true, well then print out this statement here. So what it should print out in the end is false. It should just print out false. So I'm going to compile it and run it, and here you go, false. Now if I were to go ahead and change the values, so if I were to say make this 90, let's see what will happen now. Right, so as it's going to say j and k are equal, and the reason is it checks to see whether j is smaller than k. It's not. It then checks to see whether 90.00 is equal to 90. So if j does j equal k? And since it does, it automatically will print out this. And that's about it. Now, if j is smaller than k, where this would be 9.00, then it'll print out true, as we already know. Okay, so that's the basic if, elif, and else statements. Now, when you're making conditional statements, assume depending on how many conditions there are to be met, you can have as many if statements and elif statements as you'd like, and you can also have nested conditional statements. So a nested conditional statement, which I'll quickly go through now, is assuming that this block of code is true. So assuming that 9 is smaller than 90. Then you can make another statement which says if j is, let's say, smaller, let's just make this int L is equal to 10. So if j is smaller than 10, then I'm going to simply say the value of j is smaller than 10, and end my statement there, and end my curly braces there. Okay, now even though I have assigned L to be 10 here, I could have put L instead of 10, but I just wanted to show you that you can just put numbers in sometimes as well. So if I were to go and, before I do that, let me just clear this. There we go. So the first thing that's going to be printed out is true. Now, as you can see here, I made j greater than 10 by accident, so which means nothing else would happen. So now that I can say that, now is j smaller than 10, so is 9 smaller than 10? If so, if this evaluates to true, then print out the value of j smaller than 10. So now hopefully, when I rerun this, the code should just print out true and the value of j is smaller than 10. So if I compile it, oh, also forgot the, there you go. Okay, so remember again, what if you do forget to put your curly braces in sometimes, apart from the actual layout of the way the blue J boxes are made, apart from it looking a bit funny, you also have to remember to close your curly braces. Okay, so that way you're printing within the scope. So if you open a pair of curly braces, you always must shut them at the end. That's why it kind of looks something like this, because you're closing each level of each block of code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compile this and run the conditional app, and here you go. So it's printed out true, and then it's then printed out the value of j is smaller than 10 because both of the conditions have been evaluated to true. Now if I made this 90, let's see what happens if I make this smaller than or equal to k. Okay, so now I'm saying if j is smaller than or equal to k, print out true. If so if this is first of all true, then run is j smaller than 10, and if it is, then print out j is smaller than 10. So let's go ahead and see what that prints out. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this, run it, and all that's going to come out is true. Because the first statement evaluates out to true, the second statement evaluates out to false, therefore this is not run. Now, if I just said smaller than k, then this will evaluate to false. This will then be evaluated, which comes out to true, and therefore this is printed out. And if neither of them are correct, that's when you get your else statement printed out. Okay? So in my next tutorial, I'm going to be going through, so I've covered right now if statements, elif statements, and the else statement. The next tutorial, I'm going to be going through ternary statements and the ternary operators and how that works and how they're exactly the same as if statements. However, there is a slight difference in the way it's written out. So I'll probably use the same example if you'd like, or I can show you a different example as well, which could be used as a more realistic example as well. Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a message down below or email me on my website. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. This is Carl from carlsaptia.com.